Chosen one, you are 3 days late, and I need you to hear something before the guilt swallows the rest of your morning. God knows you are late. He watched you hesitate. He watched you second-guess. He watched the calendar turn and the deadline pass, and the door seemed to close while you were still standing in the hallway, trying to decide if you were worthy enough to knock. He saw all of it, every frozen moment, every paralyzed breath, every night you lay awake running the math on what you should have done differently. And here is what he did in response. He did not redirect your blessing to the next person in line. He did not hand your portion to someone who showed up on time. He did not look at the clock and say, "Your window has expired." He held it, not because he forgot, not because no one else wanted it, but because what was prepared for you has your name written so deeply into its design that giving it to someone else would be like handing them a key to a house that was built around your exact measurements. The walls would not fit, the rooms would not make sense. The light would fall through the windows at the wrong angle, because that house was not designed for them. It was designed for you. And right now, in this very moment, God is still standing at the threshold, holding what is yours, looking at the horizon, waiting for you to arrive, not anxiously, not impatiently, but with the settled certainty of someone who already knows you are coming. Stay with me through this entire journey, chosen one, because what I am about to reveal will not be a single truth. It will be layers, each one deeper than the last. By the time we reach the end, you will understand exactly why every delay in your life had a blueprint behind it. You will receive a specific framework to activate what has been held for you. And before this message closes, we are going to do something together that is not a prayer, it is a commissioning, a sealing of everything that was reserved in your name. But none of that will make sense unless you walk through every layer with me. So stay, not because I asked you to, but because something in your spirit already knows this message has your name on it. And I need to tell you who you really are before this journey is over, because you are not who you think you are. The word late has been sitting on your identity like a label someone stuck to your forehead while you were sleeping. And by the time we are finished here, that word will never mean the same thing to you again. Now, let me take you somewhere. I want you to think about a moment, a recent one. Maybe it was last week. Maybe it was last night. You were alone. Not the kind of alone where people are in the other room. The kind of alone where even if someone was sitting next to you, they would not be able to reach where you actually were. You were scrolling through your phone. Or maybe you were just lying there in the dark with the screen already off, thinking, and something crossed your mind. A memory, a comparison, an image of someone you know, someone you have been watching, someone whose life seems to be moving at a pace yours refuses to match. They got the promotion. They found the relationship. They launched the thing. They received the answer. And it happened for them in months when you have been carrying the same prayer for years, and something shifted inside you, not jealousy. You are too aware for jealousy. Something quieter, something that sits lower in the chest and speaks in a voice you almost cannot hear. It said, "They got mine," not out loud, never out loud. Because you know how that sounds. You know that if you said it to anyone, they would tell you to be happy for others, to trust the timing, to keep believing, and you have been told all of those things so many times that the words have lost their weight. They bounce off you now like rain off a window you stopped opening a long time ago. But in that moment, alone in the dark, the truth you would never tell anyone was this. You believe you missed your turn. You believe you hesitated one day too long. You believe the door opened and you were not standing in front of it. And now the door has closed and the line has moved and the blessing has been redistributed to someone whose faith was faster than yours. whose courage was louder, whose obedience was more immediate. And the worst part is not the pain of missing it. The worst part is the math, because you did everything you were supposed to do. You stayed faithful. You believed when there was nothing to believe in. You held your position through seasons that gave you nothing in return. And the equation still did not balance. It still does not. Chosen one, I need to stop you right here. Because what I am about to say is going to dismantle a lie that has been building its case against you for longer than you realize. You did not miss your turn. There was no redistribution. There was no replacement. The blessing that has your name on it did not go to the person who showed up before you. It is still exactly where it was placed, held, sealed, guarded. And the reason it has not moved is because God looked at every other candidate who reached for it and said, I appreciate your readiness, but this was not prepared for you. Now, I know that sounds like comfort. I know it sounds like the kind of thing someone says to make you feel better, but I am not here to comfort you. I am here to show you something that will permanently shift how you see every delay you have ever experienced. And it starts with understanding something most people never learn. Your lateness is not a flaw. It is a frequency. Let me say that again, because I need it to land somewhere deeper than your ears. Your lateness is not a character defect. It is not evidence that you are less faithful, or less ready, or less worthy than the person who arrived before you. It is a frequency. A specific spiritual frequency that operates on a different timeline than the one the rest of the world follows. Think about it this way. You feel like a seed that was planted 3 days too late. Every other garden around you is already blooming, flowers in full color, fruit hanging heavy on branches, and your patch of soil looks empty, silent, still. And you look at it and you think, I missed the season. Everyone else planted on time and I did not, and now there is nothing here. But seeds do not know calendars, chosen one. Seeds do not know they are late. Seeds only know conditions, and the conditions of your soil were not ready until now. What you are looking at is not failure. What you are looking at is a garden that was waiting for the exact climate that only exists in this moment. Not last month's moment, not last year's moment. This one. And what God has been doing while you have been counting yourself as late is something so specific, so intentional, that when I show you the signs, you are going to realize that not only have you not missed anything, but something has been actively working on your behalf the entire time. There are 7 signs that a blessing is being held for you. 7 indicators that what was prepared in your name has not been released to anyone else. And I want you to pay close attention. Because the more of these you recognize in your own life, the clearer something is going to become. The first sign is unexpected peace in the middle of frustration. You should be angrier than you are. By every logical measure, given what you have been through, given what you have watched other people receive while you waited, you should be furious, but you are not. There is a strange calm sitting underneath your confusion. It does not make sense to your mind. Your mind is screaming that something is wrong, but something deeper, something beneath the noise, is whispering that you are exactly where you need to be. That peace is not denial. That peace is evidence. It is the spiritual signature of someone whose blessing is secure. You do not panic when what is yours is safe. And somewhere in your spirit, you already know it is safe. The second sign is that other people's blessings do not seem to fit them perfectly. This one is subtle. You have watched people receive things you thought were meant for you, but if you look closely, really closely, something is off. The promotion came, but the peace did not. The relationship arrived, but the depth is missing. The door opened, but they seem to be standing in a room that does not quite match their measurements. And you notice that. Not because you are critical, not because you are bitter, but because your spirit has eyes. And those eyes can see the difference between something that was tailored for someone and something that was grabbed off the rack. The third sign is the pattern of almost. You have come close. Over and over. You have been in the room. You have been in the conversation. You have been one phone call away, one decision away, one yes away from everything you have been praying for. And then it slipped. Not dramatically, quietly, like something invisible pulled it back at the last second. And you thought, what is wrong with me? Why does this keep happening? Why do I keep getting to the edge and then watching it dissolve? I need you to hear this. Those almost moments were not failures. They were interventions. Something was pulling your blessing back because you were reaching for the wrong version of it. The counterfeit version. The early version. The version that would have arrived in a package too small for what God actually prepared. What felt like missing your window was actually missing your counterfeit. And missing your counterfeit is one of the greatest protections God can offer. The fourth sign is dreams about receiving. You have been having them, maybe not every night, but enough to notice. You wake up with the feeling of having already received something you cannot name. The details of the dream fade, but the feeling stays. A warmth, a fullness, a sense of completion that clings to your chest for the first few minutes of the morning before the world rushes in and tells you nothing has changed. But something has changed. Those dreams are not wishful thinking. They are previews. Your spirit has already touched what your hands have not yet held. And the fact that you are dreaming about receiving is evidence that what was prepared for you is close enough for your spirit to sense it. And I have to pause here and ask you something. When was the last time you allowed yourself to expect something good without immediately bracing for disappointment? When was the last time you heard a promise and did not immediately build a wall around your hope just in case it did not come true? Because somewhere along the way, you stopped expecting, not stopped praying. Stopped expecting. And there is a difference. Prayer is what you do with your mouth. Expectation is what you do with your heart. And the enemy is not afraid of your prayers. He is afraid of your expectation. Because expectation is the last thing standing between you and what God has been holding. The fifth sign is that people around you keep telling you it is too late. Not all of them, not always directly. But the message keeps arriving, through a comment, through a comparison, through the look on someone's face when you tell them what you are still believing for. A look that says, gently, maybe it is time to accept that this is not going to happen. And it keeps coming, repeatedly, from different sources. Almost as if something is orchestrating a campaign to get you to agree with the word late. Because the moment you agree, the moment you say yes, it is too late, you step away from the door voluntarily. And that is the only way the enemy wins. Not by taking your blessing. He cannot do that. God is holding it. The only strategy left is to convince you to walk away from it yourself. The sixth sign is a strange protection around what you lost. Something you expected to go to someone else did not. A position that opened up was not filled. An opportunity that seemed to pass you by has been sitting untouched, waiting. You may not have noticed this because you stopped looking. You turned your eyes away from it because looking at it hurt too much. But if you look again, you will see that it has not moved. Nothing has claimed it. Nothing has replaced it. As if there is an invisible barrier around it that no one can penetrate. That is not coincidence. That is reservation. And the seventh sign is the most important one. You are here, listening to this, right now. And you did not get here by accident. You did not stumble into this message because of a random sequence of events. Something guided you here. The same hand that has been holding your blessing is the hand that redirected your attention to this exact moment. Because God does not just hold the gift, He prepares the recipient. And this message is part of your preparation. If you recognized 4 or more of those signs, what I am about to say next was specifically prepared for you, not for a general audience, for you. The one who has been counting themselves late, the one whose expectation has been leaking out slowly, like air from a tire you did not realize had a hole. If those signs just described the last several months of your life, type 777 in the comments right now. Let that number be your first agreement with what heaven has been saying over your life while you were too busy agreeing with the lie. 777, a seal, a confirmation, a shift in the atmosphere of your story that begins right here. Now, chosen one, I want you to understand something. Everything I just shared with you, the 7 signs, the recognition, the reframing of your delay as protection instead of failure, all of that is true. And if this message ended right here, it would be enough. You could walk away with the comfort of knowing that what is yours has not been given away. But this message does not end here. Because comfort is not the same as truth. And the truth goes deeper. What I showed you just now was the surface, the first layer, the part of the story that makes you feel better. But beneath the surface there is a revelation that does not just comfort you, it transforms you. It changes how you see every delay, every disappointment, every season of silence you have ever walked through. And it begins with a question most people never think to ask. You have been asking, why am I late? But the real question is not why you are late. The real question is, what was God doing during the 3 days you were not there? Because He was not sitting idle. He was not tapping His fingers waiting for you to show up. Something was happening during those 3 days. Something deliberate. Something sacred. Something that changes the nature of the blessing itself. And that is what I need to show you next. But there is a reason. God chose 3 days specifically, not 1, not 7, 3. And that reason will redefine everything you thought you knew about the relationship between timing and blessing. Stay with me. We are just getting started. Before I show you what was happening during those 3 days, I need to take you back to a story, one of the oldest stories about delay ever recorded. And it is not a parable, it is not a metaphor. It is a blueprint that matches your life with such precision that by the time I finish telling it, you will not be able to look at your own waiting season the same way again. There was a young man in ancient scripture named Joseph, 17 years old, gifted with dreams. The kind of dreams that showed him what was coming before it arrived. He could see things other people could not see. He could sense things other people could not sense. And because of that gift, his own family could not stand him. His brothers sold him, not to strangers passing through on business, to slave traders. They stripped him of the coat his father gave him, threw him into a dry pit in the ground, and while he screamed for help, they sat down and ate lunch. That detail is in the text. They sat down and ate while he begged. He was carried to a foreign country, sold again, placed in a house where he served with such excellence that the entire household prospered because of his presence. And just when it seemed like the worst was behind him, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison, not for weeks, not for months, years. And here is what I need you to hear. Joseph was not late by 3 days. Joseph was late by 13 years. 13 years between the dream and the delivery. 13 years between the promise and the position. 13 years of pits and prisons and false accusations and forgotten promises and silence from the very God who gave him the dream in the first place. And, during those 13 years, do you know what was happening in the world around him? Other people were being promoted. Other people were rising. Other people were walking through doors that Joseph could see from his cell window, but could not reach. And if Joseph had a phone, if Joseph had been able to scroll through the highlights of everyone else's life while sitting in that prison, the comparison alone would have crushed him. But here is the part most people miss about Joseph's story. And this is the part that connects directly to what God is doing in your life right now. The position Joseph eventually received did not exist when he was sold into slavery. Let me say that again. The role of second in command over an entire nation, the role that saved millions of lives during a famine, the role that reunited his family and restored everything that was stolen, that role did not exist 13 years earlier. It was not available. It was not open. It was not waiting for someone to fill it. It did not exist yet. It was being created by the very conditions that Joseph's delay made possible. The famine that required a national administrator had not begun. The economic crisis that demanded someone with Joseph's specific gifts had not materialized. The infrastructure that needed to be built to save an entire region had not been imagined yet. All of that was forming, slowly, invisibly, during the exact same years that Joseph was sitting in a prison cell, wondering if God had forgotten his name. Joseph was not late. Joseph was early. He arrived before his position was ready, and the 13 years of delay were not punishment. They were not abandonment. They were not evidence that God had moved on. They were development. The pit was not punishment. The pit was a pressure chamber. The prison was not a dead end. The prison was a classroom. And every single year that Joseph spent in places he did not choose was building something inside him that the position he was destined for required: capacity. Joseph needed the emotional capacity to hold the weight of a nation's survival without crumbling under the pressure. You do not build that capacity in comfort. You build it in confinement, discernment. Joseph needed the ability to see through deception, to navigate betrayal, to manage people who did not wish him well, while still producing excellence. Where did he learn that? In Potiphar's house. In the prison, from the very people who tried to destroy him. And depth. Joseph needed a depth of gratitude so profound that when the blessing finally arrived, he would not waste it. He would not squander it. He would not take it for granted the way someone who has never suffered often does. That depth was carved into his bones by 13 years of silence. Chosen one, do you see it? Do you see the pattern? Your delay is not a detour. Your delay is a development plan with a classified timeline. What felt like abandonment was actually assignment. What felt like delay was actually development. What felt like silence was actually strategy. What felt like punishment was actually positioning. What felt like loss was actually leverage. Every single season you walked through that gave you nothing in return was giving you something you could not see. Something that cannot be built in the daylight. Something that only forms in the dark, in the quiet, in the waiting. And the blessing that is being held for you right now, the one God refuses to release to anyone else, that blessing requires everything you built during the delay. Without the development, you could not carry it. Without the depth, you would waste it. Without the discernment, you would give it to the wrong people. And without the capacity, it would crush you under its own weight. God was not delaying your blessing from you. God was building you into someone who could hold it. And I want to show you something practical now. something you can use immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, as you listen, I call this the 3-day audit, and it is a framework that will transform how you see every waiting season you have ever been through. Here is how it works. You ask yourself 3 questions, one for each day of your delay, and each question opens a different door in your understanding. The first question belongs to day 1, and the question is this: what died in my delay? Not what was taken, not what was lost, what died. Because there is a difference between losing something and something dying. Losing is accidental, dying is purposeful. Things die so that other things can live. And in your waiting season, something died that needed to die. Maybe it was a version of yourself that was too small for what is coming. Maybe it was a belief about what you deserve that was actually keeping you anchored to a lesser version of the blessing. Maybe it was a relationship that had to end so the right one could arrive without competition. Maybe it was an identity that you wore because it fit the old season, but would have suffocated you in the new one. What died in your delay? Ask yourself that. Sit with it, because until you name what died, you will keep trying to resurrect things that were meant to be buried. And you cannot walk into a resurrection while dragging a corpse. The second question belongs to day 2, and the question is this: what was built in me that could not have been built any other way? Not what you learned in a general sense, not the cliché of everything happens for a reason. I mean specifically, precisely. What skill, what strength, what depth, what awareness do you carry right now that only exists because you went through what you went through? Think about Joseph. If you had asked him on day 1 of prison what was being built, he would have said nothing, absolutely nothing. I am rotting. But years later, standing in front of a pharaoh, interpreting a dream that would save a civilization, he carried a steadiness in his voice that could only have been forged in a furnace. A clarity in his eyes that could only have been sharpened by years of seeing through darkness. That was not natural talent. That was built, brick by brick, in silence, in pain. In the absence of applause, what was built in you? Because whatever it is the exact material that the next season requires. Your development is not optional, it is structural. Without it, the foundation cracks. And the third question belongs to day 3, the day of completion. And the question is this: what is now ready in me that was not ready before? Not what is ready out there, not what doors are open or what opportunities are available. What is ready in you? What has shifted? What has settled? What has matured to the point where you can carry what is coming without it breaking you? Because here is the truth that Joseph's story reveals more clearly than any other story in sacred history. The blessing was not waiting for Joseph. The blessing was waiting for Joseph to be ready for the blessing. And the exact moment he was ready, the door opened, not a day early, not a day late. On the day, his development was complete. If something just clicked in your understanding, if you can now see a delay in your life differently than you saw it 5 minutes ago, type "I see it now" in the comments. Not as a phrase, as a declaration. You see it now. The formation was not wasted. The darkness was not empty. Something was being built. And now you see it. Let me tell you something else about Joseph that most people overlook. When he was in the pit and when he was in the prison, there were others around him. People who were positioned closer to the blessing than he was. People who seemed more qualified, more present, more available. The cupbearer in prison had a direct connection to Pharaoh. He was literally one conversation away from the very throne Joseph was destined to stand before, and the cupbearer forgot him. promised to mention Joseph's name to Pharaoh, and then forgot for 2 full years. And during those 2 years, Joseph could have screamed, he could have sent messages, he could have fought his way out. But he did not, he stayed. And the staying was the final exam. Because there is a difference between someone who grabs a blessing and someone who receives one. The one who grabs arrives early, pushes through the door, takes what they can carry, and leaves before anyone can stop them. The one who receives waits until the door opens on its own, walks through with dignity, and carries what was prepared with both hands open. God is not looking for someone who can grab quickly. God is looking for someone who can receive deeply, and the deep receiving was forged in the delay. Let me tell you about a woman who waited 11 years for her calling to manifest. Not because she was weak, because what was being built in her required 11 years of foundation. She was a teacher. For an entire decade she watched her colleagues advance. Some of them became principals. Some of them became consultants, earning 3 times her salary. Some of them left education entirely and built businesses that seemed to flourish overnight. And she stayed in the same classroom, with the same chalkboard, with the same ache in her chest, every September when the school year started and nothing in her life had changed. And then, 11 years in, she received an invitation to develop a curriculum that would be implemented across an entire state. The person who recommended her said this: "We needed someone who had stayed in the trenches long enough to understand what actually works. Everyone else had left too early to see it." She told me later, with tears running down her face, that she used to cry about the wait. Now she cries because she almost gave up 1 year before the answer came. 1 year. She was 1 year away, and she almost walked away because the math did not make sense. But the math never makes sense from inside the delay. The math only makes sense from the other side. And chosen one, you are closer to the other side than you realize. Before this continues, I want to ask you something gently. If what I have shared so far brought even a small crack of light into a room that has been dark for too long, gently press the like button. Not for this message, but so that someone else, someone sitting in their own 3-day silence tonight, someone who has stopped expecting, someone whose math has not balanced in years, so that this message can find its way to them. Your simple act of pressing that button is not a number. It is a signal that sends this light further, and someone out there needs it more than you know. Now, I told you about Joseph, 13 years late, and the position did not exist until he was ready for it. But there is something even more profound happening in your story, something that goes beyond Joseph's blueprint. Because Joseph's blessing was waiting for him to be ready. But your blessing, the one God is holding right now, was not just waiting, it was being upgraded. Think about it like this. When a blessing is prepared and the recipient arrives on time, the blessing is delivered as designed, complete, good, sufficient. But when a blessing is prepared and the recipient is delayed, something extraordinary happens. The blessing does not sit static. It continues to develop, it continues to grow, it continues to compound. Because the same God who is building you during the delay is also expanding what was prepared for you. Your 3-day audit revealed what died, what was built, and what is now ready in you. But there is a 4th dimension that does not fit into the audit because it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the blessing itself. What was held for you has been growing while you were growing. The version of this blessing that you would have received on time, if you had arrived exactly when you thought you were supposed to, that version was good. But the version that exists now, the one that has been compounding in the hands of God for 3 extra days, is heavier, richer, wider, deeper. It has more rooms, more provision, more purpose, more reach than the original design. And that is the part that will keep you awake tonight, not with anxiety, with wonder. You did not just miss a deadline and arrive late to collect the same package. You arrived late, and the package was upgraded to match the person you became during the wait. The development was not just for you. The development was also for the blessing. This is not theory, chosen one. This is pattern. This is the way God has always operated. He does not waste waiting. He compounds it. And what the ancient texts describe, what scholars throughout history have observed in the trajectories of those marked for purpose, is a pattern that some have quietly called a destiny's embrace. A holding so intentional, so personalized, that the one being held and the thing being held for them grow at the same rate, in the same direction, until the moment of convergence where both are ready simultaneously. You are approaching that convergence right now. And what happens when formation meets destination? When the one who was built meets the blessing that was upgraded, changes everything, not just for you, for every person connected to your purpose. But there is something I have not told you yet. Something about the mechanism of the holding itself. The actual process by which God keeps a blessing from leaving when every external pressure is pushing it toward someone else. I mentioned the word earlier, shama. It is a Hebrew word, and when I show you what it actually means, when I break it open from the original language, what has felt like a beautiful idea is going to become an unshakable foundation. Because comfort is one thing, but certainty is something else entirely. And where we are going next is certainty. What was God actually doing during those 3 days you were not there? Not metaphorically, not poetically. Actually. And the answer is hidden in a single ancient word that has been waiting for you to discover it. The word is shama. It is Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, and it does not mean what most people think it means. When we say God is holding your blessing, the image that comes to mind is someone sitting quietly with a package on their lap, waiting for you to come pick it up. Passive, patient, still, like a receptionist at a front desk, holding a delivery and glancing at the clock. But that is not what is happening. That is not even close to what is happening. The word shama appears in the very first chapters of sacred scripture. When God placed the first human in the garden, the text says, He put him there to work it and to shamar it, to guard it, to keep watch over it, to protect it from anything that might try to enter and corrupt what had been planted. Shamar is not passive holding. Shamar is active, vigilant, intentional guarding. It is a military word, a watchman's word. It carries the energy of someone standing at a gate with their hand on the lock and their eyes on the horizon, scanning for every threat that might approach. And this is the word that describes what God has been doing with your blessing for the past 3 days. He has not been sitting with it in his lap. He has been standing over it, guarding it, watching for everything and everyone that has tried to take it from you. And there have been attempts, more than you know, more than you could see from where you were standing. People reached for what was yours, circumstances aligned that could have redirected it, systems moved that should have transferred it to someone else. And every single time, God stepped in front of it and said, "No, this one is not available. This one has a name on it. And I am not moving until that name arrives." Shamar implies something most people do not think about. It implies a threat. If there were no threat, there would be no need for guarding. A blessing that no one wants does not need a watchman. A blessing that sits unclaimed and unchallenged does not require the creator of the universe to stand over it personally. The very fact that God has been shamaring your blessing means something has been trying to take it. Something has been reaching for it. Something has been testing the seal. And the intensity of the guarding tells you something about the value of what is being guarded. You do not post a guard over something ordinary. You post a guard over something irreplaceable. Now, I want you to think about this in the context of your own life. Every closed door you have experienced, every redirected opportunity, every almost that did not become a yes. Every time you were certain something was about to happen and then it evaporated at the last second. That was not failure. That was shama. God was locking the door from the inside, not to keep you out, to keep your blessing in, to prevent the wrong version, the early version, the counterfeit version from being released before the right moment arrived. The door did not close on you. God closed the door for you. There is a difference so vast between those two sentences that your entire history changes depending on which one you believe. And this is where the number 3 becomes critical. Because I told you earlier that there was a reason God chose 3 days specifically, and I want to show you that reason now. In Hebrew tradition, in the architecture of sacred time, the third day is not just another day on the calendar. The third day is the day of completion and revelation. It is the day when what was hidden becomes visible. On the first day, something is initiated. A process begins. A seed enters the ground. A prayer leaves the mouth. On the second day, the work happens beneath the surface, invisible, silent, unobservable by human eyes. The world sees nothing and assumes nothing is happening. But underneath, everything is in motion. And then comes the third day, the day of breaking through. The day when what was planted in secret pushes through the soil into the light. The day when what was whispered in the dark is shouted from the rooftop. The day when the stone is rolled away and what everyone believed was dead walks out alive. You are on the third day, chosen one. The first day of your delay, the process began. Something was initiated in the heavens, a reshaping, a reworking, a reconfiguration of what was prepared for you so that it would match the person you were becoming. You did not know it was happening. No one told you. The second day, the work continued in the invisible. While you were lying awake at night doing the math, while you were scrolling through comparisons, while you were whispering the word too late over your own life, God was underneath the surface of your story, working in the place where human eyes cannot reach, silent, intentional, relentless, and now you are here. Day 3, the day of revelation, the day when what was hidden breaks through, the day when the held blessing and the finished receiver come face to face for the first time. This is not comfort. This is calendar. This is the architecture of how God has always worked. 3 days in the belly of the fish, 3 days in the tomb, 3 days between death and resurrection. The pattern is so consistent that when you see it, you cannot unsee it. And your 3 days of delay fit the pattern perfectly. God's silence during your delay was not absence. God's silence was shama, active guarding, fierce protection. And the silence is breaking right now. I need to take you deeper into this, because shama does not just describe what God does with the blessing. Shama also describes what God does with you. The same word used for guarding the garden is used throughout Scripture for guarding a life, for watching over a soul, for keeping someone from stumbling in the dark. And during your 3 days of delay, God was not only guarding what was prepared for you, He was guarding you from arriving too early, guarding you from grabbing the counterfeit, guarding you from walking through a door that would have led to a room too small for your purpose, guarding you from the success that would have destroyed you because you did not yet have the infrastructure to sustain it. There is a woman in ancient Scripture named Mary, young, unmarried. living in a small village where nothing extraordinary ever happened, and one day, without warning, without preparation, without any indication that her life was about to be permanently altered, she received a message that she had been chosen for something so immense that the weight of it would reshape human history. Favor before readiness. That is what Mary received. The blessing arrived before she felt qualified to hold it, before she had the experience, before she had the credentials, before she had the support system, before she had the understanding of what it would cost her. And do you know what she did? She did not argue. She did not present a list of reasons why she was the wrong person. She said, "Let it be." Now, think about that in the context of your delay. You have been telling yourself that the reason the blessing has not arrived is because you are not ready. But Mary was not ready either. Readiness was never the criteria. Willingness was. And you, chosen one, you are willing. You have been willing for years. The delay was not about your willingness. It was about the blessing's preparation. And the blessing's preparation is now complete. When the world said your time had passed, he held it. When the calendar said your season was over, he held it. When the people around you moved on and moved forward and moved up, he held it. When you yourself stopped expecting, when you put your hope in a drawer and closed it because keeping it out in the open hurt too much, he held it. When the enemy sent every distraction and every counterfeit and every false door designed to lure you away from the real one, he held it. He held it through everything. He held it. And I hear the Spirit saying something to you right now, and I want to say it exactly as it is being placed on my heart, because I believe these words are not mine. They are being spoken through me for someone very specific. I held it. I held it when they told me you were not coming. I held it when the calendar said your time had passed. I held it when you stopped asking. I held it through seasons that made you question whether I was still listening, whether I still cared, whether I had turned my attention to someone else. I did not. My attention never moved. My hand never opened. Because what I prepared has your name written into its molecular structure. It could not function in another person's life. It would not fit in another person's hands. It was designed around the specific shape of your calling, your wounds, your gifts, your weakness, your strength, and the exact trajectory of the life I mapped for you before you took your first breath. And I will not give what was crafted for you to someone it was not designed for, not because they are less worthy, but because it would be like giving medicine meant for one body to another. It would not heal. It would not work. It was calibrated for you, only for you. And I have been standing here, hand on the lock, eyes on the horizon, for every single second of your 3 days, waiting, not anxiously, not impatiently, with the certainty of a father who knows exactly when his child will arrive, and you are arriving now. If that landed somewhere deeper than your mind, if the word shama settled into a place in your spirit that you did not know was open, type "he held it" in the comments. Seal that truth. Let those 3 words be the marker between the season where you believed you were forgotten and the season where you know, with unshakable certainty, that you were guarded. He held it. Say it in your spirit as you type it. Now, chosen one, I need to show you something that will connect everything I have been teaching you to a discovery that science has only recently been able to confirm. And when I show you this connection, the spiritual truth of shama will fuse with a physical reality inside your own brain in a way that makes the abstract suddenly concrete. There is a frequency, a specific brainwave frequency that neuroscientists have been studying for over 3 decades. It is called the gamma frequency. And what researchers at places like MIT and Princeton and several other leading universities have found is that this frequency is directly linked to states of genius, heightened intuition, deep spiritual connection, and what scientists call flow state, the state where everything seems to align, where decisions come easily, where creativity pours out without resistance, and where what many people describe as hearing God or sensing divine guidance becomes almost effortless. Here is what makes this relevant to you. Every child is born with an active gamma frequency, every single one. It is part of the original design, and it is the reason children learn at extraordinary speeds, sense things adults cannot sense, trust their intuition without second-guessing, and seem to operate in a state of wonder that the adult world has lost. But starting around the age of 7, something happens. Scientists call it the decline effect. The gamma frequency begins to shut down. Slowly, gradually, suppressed by the education system, by the pace of modern life, by the constant bombardment of stress and fear and distraction that characterizes the world we live in. By the time most people reach adulthood, their gamma frequency is operating at a fraction of its original capacity. And for you, chosen one, this matters more than it does for the average person. Because you were not born with average gamma. You were born with an unusually powerful frequency. That is why you learned faster than other children. That is why you sensed things others could not. That is why you had moments of knowing that defied explanation. Your gift was not mystical, it was neurological. Gamma. And when the decline effect suppressed your frequency, the gap between who you were and who you feel like now was wider than it was for anyone around you, because you had further to fall. The distance between a mountain peak and a valley is greater than the distance between a foothill and a valley. And your peak was high, which means your valley felt deeper, your fog felt thicker, your sense of disconnection felt more devastating, not because something is wrong with you, but because something extraordinary was turned off. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying this exact phenomenon, the same mind behind what researchers quietly call the youthful brain protocol. And what he discovered is that this frequency can be reactivated, not through years of meditation, not through expensive equipment, through a precise application of what science calls brain entrainment, a method of guiding the brain back to the frequency it was designed to operate in. I will share more about this with you later in this message, because it connects directly to the tool I promised you, the specific activation that completes the bridge between the spiritual truth you are receiving right now and the practical transformation your daily life requires. But for now, know this. The holding God has been doing is not only about the blessing out there. He has been waiting for something in here to reawaken. The frequency, the original operating system, the gamma that makes receiving possible. Because a blessing can be held perfectly, delivered at the perfect time, placed in the perfect hands, and still go unreceived if the receiver's capacity to recognize it has been shut down. And that is why some people's blessings seem to arrive effortlessly while yours required holding. Not because God favors them, but because their frequency did not fall as far as yours. Their capacity, while adequate, was never as high as yours to begin with. They did not need the same level of restoration because they were never operating at the same level of power. Your gamma was higher, your fall was deeper, your restoration takes longer, and the blessing that matches your restored frequency is proportionally greater than anything that could have been delivered to a lower frequency. This is the connection between shama and science, between the ancient and the measurable, between the spiritual holding and the neurological reawakening. They are two halves of the same process, and both halves are converging in your life right now. Take a breath, chosen one. What I just showed you is heavy. Let it settle. What you have received in these last minutes is not just a teaching. It is a reframing of your entire history. Every delay, every silence, every season of feeling disconnected. Every door that closed when you were certain it should have opened. All of it, every bit of it, was shama. God guarding the blessing. God guarding you. God waiting for the frequency to be restored so that what was held could finally be received by someone capable of carrying it. And now, I need to show you something uncomfortable. Because there is an obstacle standing between you and everything I have described. An obstacle that does not come from the outside. It does not come from the enemy. It does not come from circumstances or timing or other people. It comes from inside you. And until you name it, it will keep you standing 3 feet from an open door, convinced the door is still closed. The obstacle has a name, and you already know what it is. You have just never called it what it actually is. You call it humility. You call it being realistic. You call it managing expectations. You call it protecting yourself from disappointment. You have a dozen names for it, and every single one of them sounds reasonable and mature and wise. But the real name, the name you do not say out loud, is unworthiness. Somewhere along the way, during the waiting, during the silence, during the years of watching other people receive what you were believing for, a belief took root that you have never fully admitted to anyone, including yourself. The belief is this: maybe I do not deserve what was held. Maybe the reason I was delayed is not because God was preparing something greater. Maybe the reason I was delayed is because something about me disqualified me. Maybe I hesitated because deep down I know I am not the right person for this. Maybe the blessing was held not because it has my name on it, but because God is still deciding whether to give it to me at all. That belief is not humility. Humility is knowing that you did not earn the blessing. That is true. You did not earn it. No one earns what God prepares. Humility is standing in front of a gift and saying, I know I did not do enough to deserve this, and that is a beautiful posture. But unworthiness is something else entirely. Unworthiness is standing in front of a gift that God is literally holding out to you and refusing to take it because you decided, on His behalf, that you are not the right recipient. Unworthiness is not modesty. It is overruling God's decision with your own insecurity. It is looking at the one who created you and saying, I know you said this is mine, but I think you are wrong, and I want you to feel the weight of that for a moment. Because when you call yourself unworthy of what God has specifically, personally, intentionally held for you, you are not being humble. You are questioning His judgment. You are telling the architect of the universe that He made a mistake when He wrote your name on the blessing, that He miscalculated, that He should have chosen someone else, someone more qualified, someone who showed up on time, someone whose faith did not waver the way yours did. That is not humility. That is the last weapon the enemy has in his arsenal. And it is the most effective one he has ever used against you. Think about it. The enemy could not steal your blessing. God is guarding it. Shama. The enemy could not redirect it to someone else. The seal has your name, and only your name. The enemy could not close the door. God is the one holding the handle. So what is left? What strategy remains when every external attack has failed? Convince you to walk away on your own. That is the strategy. That is the entire playbook. The enemy cannot take what is yours. So, instead, he whispers. He whispers that you are not good enough. He whispers that you waited too long. He whispers that the delay is proof of disqualification rather than proof of preparation. He wraps the lie in the language of humility, so it sounds spiritual instead of destructive. And he waits for you to agree. Because the moment you agree, the moment you say, "Yes, I am not worthy of this," you step away from the door voluntarily. Not because the door closed. Not because God changed his mind. Because you convinced yourself that what was clearly prepared for you must have been meant for someone else. And the enemy does not need to steal a blessing from someone who walks away from it on their own. Chosen one, I need you to hear this with everything in you. Unworthiness is not your truth. It is a weapon. And it has been pointed at your chest for every single day of your delay. Every comparison that stole your expectation was a bullet from that weapon. Every voice that said, "It is too late," was a bullet from that weapon. Every moment you looked at yourself in the mirror and thought, "Who am I to receive something this significant?" was a bullet from that weapon. And today, right now, the weapon loses its ammunition. Because now you see it for what it is. But there is a second obstacle underneath the first one. And this one is more subtle because it does not feel like a flaw. It feels like passion. You tried to force it. At some point during the delay, maybe more than once, you got tired of waiting and you tried to make it happen yourself. You tried to build your own version of the blessing. You applied for the thing before it was ready. You rushed into the relationship before it had time to develop. You launched the project before the foundation was set. You pushed open a door that was not the right door because you were so desperate to stop standing in the hallway. And it did not work. Or it worked for a moment and then fell apart. Or it worked halfway and left you exhausted, holding something that looked like what you wanted but felt nothing like what you needed. And you blamed yourself. You called it impatience. You called it lack of faith. You called it self-sabotage. You added it to the list of evidence that proves you are not disciplined enough, not spiritual enough, not steady enough to be trusted with what God is holding. But here is what no one told you about that forcing. Your impatience was not your sin. It was your assignment detector. You tried to force it because you knew something was supposed to be there. The instinct was right. The direction was right. The desire was right. The timing was off. That is all. The timing was off. And operating on the right instinct at the wrong time is not a character failure. It is the predictable behavior of someone who can feel their assignment before they can see it. A compass always points north, even when the path to the north has not been cleared yet. Your compass was working. You felt the pull. You responded to it. And the fact that you responded to something you could not see yet is not evidence of weakness. It is evidence of sensitivity, of spiritual awareness, of a connection to your purpose so strong that you could not sit still while it was calling. The problem was never your instinct. The problem was that the road between where you were and where you were meant to be had not been finished yet. You tried to drive on an incomplete highway, and instead of arriving at your destination, you ended up on the shoulder, wondering what went wrong. Nothing went wrong. The highway was not ready. You were not early because you are impatient. You were early because you are sensitive. And sensitivity, in a world that rewards numbness, is one of the rarest and most powerful qualities a chosen one can carry. So, let me name what the enemy has been trying to do. And I want you to see it clearly, because once you see the strategy, it loses its power over you. The enemy's entire plan for your 3-day delay has been one word: disqualify, not attack. He cannot attack what God is guarding, not steal. He cannot steal what God is holding, not destroy. He cannot destroy what God has sealed. The only option left is disqualify. Make you believe, through your own internal dialogue, that you no longer qualify for what was prepared. Every voice that said it is too late. that was disqualification. Every comparison that made you feel behind, that was disqualification. Every moment you agreed with unworthiness, that was disqualification. Every time you took your failed attempt at forcing the blessing and used it as proof that you are not disciplined enough, that was disqualification. The enemy did not need to fight God for your blessing. He just needed to convince you to disqualify yourself. And you almost did. You were standing at the edge of agreement. One more month of silence. One more comparison. One more failed attempt. And you might have whispered, "I am done. It is over. I missed it." But you did not whisper that. You are here. Which means the disqualification campaign failed. Not because you are strong, not because you are spiritual enough, but because something deeper than your doubt, something underneath the unworthiness and the impatience and the exhaustion, something at the very core of your identity refused to let you walk away. That something is the shama that God placed not just on your blessing, but on you. He was guarding you from your own surrender. He was keeping you from the agreement that would have ended everything. And the fact that you are here, still listening, still leaning in, still carrying a flicker of expectation despite everything that tried to extinguish it, is proof that the guarding worked. You are still here, and the door is still open. Now I want to do something that might feel unfamiliar. I want to give you permission. Not the kind of permission someone gives when they are above you, and you need their approval. The kind of permission that names the thing you have been carrying and tells you that you are allowed to set it down. You are allowed to receive late. You are allowed to arrive after everyone else and still claim what was prepared for you. The world says the early bird gets the worm. But the world has never held a blessing in its hands and refused to give it to anyone but the one it was made for. God does not operate on the world's timeline. You are allowed to be imperfect and still be chosen. Your imperfection did not disqualify you. Your imperfection is part of the design. The cracks in you are not flaws. They are the places where the light enters and the places where the light pours out. And a blessing designed for a cracked vessel is a blessing that knows how to flow through openings. You are allowed to have doubted. You are allowed to have questioned whether God was still there. You are allowed to have had nights where your faith felt like it was hanging by a thread so thin you could not see it. Doubt did not disqualify you. Doubt is not the opposite of faith. Giving up is the opposite of faith. And you did not give up. You are allowed to have tried to force it. You are allowed to have been impatient. You are allowed to have run ahead and stumbled and picked yourself up and felt ashamed and tried again. That cycle was not failure. That cycle was you fighting for your future with everything you had. And fighting for your future, even clumsily, even impatiently, even with the wrong timing, is not a sin. It is love. It is the love of someone who cares too much about their calling to sit still while it is being delayed. And you are allowed to stop apologizing for a timeline that was never in your control. You did not choose the delay. You did not choose the 3 days. You did not choose the silence, or the waiting, or the watching. Those were not your decisions. Those were God's decisions. And carrying guilt for a timeline that someone else set is carrying a weight that was never meant for your shoulders. Set it down, right now, in your mind. Set it down. You have been holding that guilt like a stone in your pocket, reaching in to touch it every day to make sure it is still there, as if losing the guilt would mean losing the lesson. But the lesson is already written in your bones. You do not need the guilt to remember it. Set it down and do not pick it back up. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are covered. And the wound that you thought disqualified you, the weakness you have been hiding, the delay you have been ashamed of, none of that is a liability. All of it is a credential. Because the very wound becomes the authority. The person who has never been late cannot minister to someone standing in the hallway wondering if their turn has passed. But you can. The person who has never struggled with unworthiness cannot look someone in the eye and say, "I know what that feels like, and I survived it." But you can. The person who has never tried to force a blessing and failed cannot teach someone the difference between holy impatience and reckless desperation. But you can. Your obstacle became your offering. Your wound became your credential. And the delay that you thought was your greatest disqualification is going to become the very thing that qualifies you to carry what God is about to place in your hands. If you are ready to release the guilt of being late, if you are ready to stop carrying the shame of not arriving on time, type "I release" in the comments. That is not just a comment, that is a spiritual contract. You are releasing what was never yours to carry. The guilt of the delay, the weight of the comparison, the lie of disqualification. Type it and mean it. I release. And feel the stone leave your pocket. Now, before we go further, I want to tell you something about what is coming at the end of this journey. Before this message closes, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe will stay with you long after these words fade. It is not going to be a regular prayer. It is not going to be a list of requests. It is going to be a commissioning, a 3-day seal placed over every single thing that has been held in your name. A declaration so specific that your spirit will recognize it the way your body recognizes warmth after walking through cold. I have been building toward it since the first word of this message, and it requires every layer we have walked through together to reach its full power. So stay with me. What comes at the end is the reason this message was placed in front of you, not the teaching, not the revelation, the seal. But first, there is one more truth I need to show you, and it is the largest truth of all, the one that sits beneath everything I have said and holds it all together. You know now that your delay was formation. You know that God was shamaing your blessing, guarding it with active, vigilant intention. You know that the 3 days follow a sacred pattern of initiation, invisible work, and revelation. You know that the obstacles of unworthiness and impatience were weapons aimed at getting you to disqualify yourself, and you have released them. But there is something I have not told you yet. Something about the blessing itself that changes the entire equation. Because everything I have said so far has been about you, your formation, your guarding, your obstacles, your release. But the blessing, the actual thing that has been held, I have not told you what happened to it during those 3 days. And what happened to it is the part that will keep you awake tonight, not with anxiety, with wonder. When a blessing is prepared and the recipient arrives on time, the blessing is delivered as designed, complete, good, sufficient. It is the right gift for the right person at the right moment. And there is nothing wrong with that. An on-time blessing is still a blessing. But when a blessing is prepared and the recipient does not arrive, something happens that most people never consider. The blessing does not sit static. It does not freeze in place like a package in a warehouse collecting dust. It continues, it grows, it develops. It compounds, because the same God who is building you during the delay is also expanding what was prepared for you during the delay. The two processes are happening simultaneously. You are being upgraded, and the blessing is being upgraded, at the same rate, in the same direction. And the moment both reach completion, they converge. This is the upgrade principle, and it changes everything. The version of the blessing that was originally scheduled for you, the one that would have arrived on time if you had been standing at the door 3 days ago, that version was good. I am not diminishing it. It was real. It was designed for you. And it would have been enough. But the version that exists now, the one that has been compounding in the hands of God for 3 additional days, is different. It is heavier, richer, wider. It has more rooms, more provision, more purpose, more reach. It has been recalibrated to match not the person you were 3 days ago, but the person you are right now. The person who walked through formation, the person who survived the shama, the person who faced unworthiness and released it, the person who looked at the disqualification campaign and said, "No, I am still here." That person is bigger than the one who would have arrived on time. And the blessing has expanded to fit. You did not just miss a deadline and show up late to collect the same thing everyone else received. You arrived late and the package was rewritten, redesigned. The architecture was expanded because the recipient expanded. And what you are about to receive carries a weight that the on-time version could never have held. Let me show you this principle in action, because it is not theory. It is the most vivid example in all of sacred literature. There was a man named Lazarus. He was sick, gravely sick, and his 2 sisters, Mary and Martha, sent an urgent message to the one person they believed could save him. They sent word to Jesus, "Come quickly, our brother is dying. He does not have much time. If you come now, you can heal him. You have healed strangers. Surely you will come for your friend." And the message reached Jesus. He heard it. He understood the urgency. He knew what was at stake. And then he did something that no one in that household expected. He stayed where he was. 2 more days. He waited 2 more days before he moved. And by the time he arrived, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Not hours, days. The body was in the tomb. The mourners had gathered. The sisters were broken. And the first words Martha said to him when he finally appeared carry the exact same weight that you have been carrying in your own spirit. "If only you had come sooner." That sentence has been sitting in your chest for months, maybe years. If only I had acted sooner. If only I had believed harder. If only I had moved faster. If only the answer had arrived before everything fell apart. Martha was not angry. She was grieving. She was standing in the aftermath of a delay she did not choose, looking at someone who could have prevented it and asking the only question that made sense. Why did you wait? And here is what most people miss about this story. Here is the detail hidden in the original Greek that redefines the entire narrative. Jesus could have healed Lazarus from a distance. He had done it before. He healed a centurion's servant without being in the same town. He did not need to be present to heal. He could have spoken a word from where he was standing, and Lazarus would have recovered by morning. But he did not do that. And the reason he did not do that is the reason you are listening to this message right now. Healing was not the plan. Jesus did not come to heal Lazarus. He came to resurrect him. And there is a difference between those 2 things so vast that it changes the meaning of your entire delay. Healing restores you to where you were before you got sick. It brings you back to baseline. It returns what was lost. And healing is good. Healing is a gift. But healing was not enough for what God intended. Resurrection creates something that did not exist before. Resurrection does not bring you back to where you were. It brings you forward to where you have never been. Resurrection is not restoration. It is reinvention. It is a complete and total reconfiguration of what was possible, and resurrection requires death. You cannot resurrect something that is merely sick. Sick can be healed. Dying can be reversed. But resurrection, true resurrection, the kind that shakes the foundations of reality and makes witnesses fall to their knees, that kind of power can only be activated when what was there before is completely, utterly, irreversibly gone. God did not come late to Lazarus. God came on time for a resurrection. And, chosen one, I need you to hear this with everything in you, because it is the key that unlocks your 3-day delay. God was not planning to heal your situation. He was not planning to restore you to where you were before the delay. He was not planning to give you back the old version of the blessing, the one that would have arrived on time, the one that was designed for the person you used to be. He was planning a resurrection. The kind that does not restore the old, the kind that creates something entirely new, and that required the old version to die completely. The old opportunity, the old timeline, the old expectation, the old you. All of it had to die, not be injured, not be weakened, die. So that what comes next is not a recovery, it is a rising. On day 1, they thought he forgot. On day 2, they sent messengers. On day 3, they wept. On day 4, he arrived. And what he did on day 4 could not have happened on day 1. Because on day 1, Lazarus was still breathing. And you cannot demonstrate resurrection power on someone who is still breathing. Your old timeline had to stop breathing. Your old expectation had to be buried. Your old version of the blessing had to be placed in a tomb, and you had to stand at the entrance of that tomb and grieve, genuinely grieve, not as performance, not as spiritual discipline, but as the authentic, devastating experience of watching something you loved and hoped for disappear behind a stone. And now, chosen one, the stone is being rolled away. There is a word in the original Greek that I need to show you, because it completes the picture. The word is Chairos. In the ancient Greek language, there are 2 words for time. The first is chronos. Chronos is clock time, calendar time, linear, sequential, measurable time. Monday follows Sunday. March follows February. You are born, you age, you die. Chronos is the time that the world lives by. It is the time you check on your phone, the time that makes you feel late. The second word is Chairos, and Chairos is something entirely different. Chairos is the appointed time, the divine moment, the exact intersection where preparation meets opportunity, where readiness meets release, where everything that has been building in the invisible suddenly breaks through into the visible. Chairos does not follow a calendar. Chairos follows completion. It arrives not when the clock says it should, but when the conditions are right, when the builder says the foundation is ready, when the farmer says the soil is warm enough, when the father says the child can carry the weight. You have been measuring your life in chronos. You have been comparing your chronos to other people's chronos. You have been looking at the calendar and calculating how many days, months, years you are behind. And by chronos, yes, you are late. By chronos, the deadline passed. By chronos, the window closed. But God does not operate in chronos. God operates in Chairos. And in Chairos, 3 days late does not exist. There is only the appointed moment. And the appointed moment is not determined by a clock. It is determined by completion. When the formation is complete, when the blessing is upgraded, when the receiver's frequency is restored. When the shama has done its work, when the obstacles have been named and released, when every single condition that was required for the resurrection to occur has been met. That is Chairos. And Chairos is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more ready, not when your faith is stronger, not when your doubt has fully disappeared. Now. Because Chairos does not wait for perfection, Chairos waits for completion, and the completion happened while you were not looking. While you were measuring chronos and counting yourself late, Chairos was silently reaching its finish line in the invisible. I want to tell you about someone. A man, 47 years old, who carried the weight of being late for 9 years. He lost his business, not because of poor decisions, because of a recession that consumed entire industries and left nothing behind The company he had spent a decade building, pouring his identity into, measuring his worth by, was gone in less than a year. And when the dust settled, he stood in the rubble of what used to be his life and heard every voice you have been hearing. It is too late. You are too old to start over. The market has moved on. Younger people have taken the positions you used to fill. Your relevance expired with your business. Move on, scale down, accept less. For 9 years he heard those voices. For 9 years he carried the math that did not balance, the prayers that seemed to bounce off the ceiling, the comparison of watching former colleagues rebuild while he remained in the same place. Some of the people who went further discovered entire systems, protocols with names like Neuroactive, that those ahead of him had already found. But his journey felt frozen, and then, on an ordinary Tuesday, 9 years into his delay, he received a call from a company he had never contacted. They had heard about him through a chain of connections so unlikely that he could not trace it if he tried. They offered him a partnership, not a job, a partnership, worth 3 times the value of the business he had lost. 3 times. He told me something that I have not been able to stop thinking about. He said, "For 9 years I begged God for my old business back. I prayed every night for restoration. I wanted the old thing returned. But God was not restoring. God was resurrecting. And what was resurrected was so much larger than what died that I now thank him for the 9 years. Because the 9 years built me into someone who could steward what came next. Without the 9 years, I would have handled a partnership that size the way I handled my first business. With ego, with impatience, with a scarcity mindset that hoarded instead of multiplied. The delay built the capacity, and the capacity unlocked the upgrade. The delayed version was 3 times the original, not because he got lucky, because he got built. And right now, all across the earth, chosen ones are experiencing this exact same pattern. A collective shift is happening. You are not alone in this waiting room, and the doors are about to open simultaneously. Chosen one, I want to give you something now, a framework you can carry with you into the moment of receiving, because receiving is not passive. Receiving is an act of authority, and you need to know how to do it. I call this the Held Blessing Protocol, and it has 3 steps. The first step is release the guilt of lateness. And I am going to give you the exact words. Say this in your mind as I say it. I am not late. I am loading. Say that again. Inside yourself. I am not late. I am loading. The guilt of being late has been a chain around your ankle, slowing every step you take toward the door that is opening right now. And the moment you speak that sentence with conviction, the chain snaps. Not because the words are magic, because the belief shifts. And when the belief shifts, the behavior follows. The second step is realign with Chairos. From this moment forward, you stop measuring your progress in Chronos. You stop comparing your Tuesday to someone else's Tuesday. You stop looking at the calendar and calculating how far behind you are. Instead, you ask one question. Is the completion progressing? Not, is the clock moving? Is the completion progressing? Because Chairos does not care about clocks. Chairos cares about readiness. And the question is never, how late am I? The question is, am I being completed? And the third step is receive without apologizing. This is the hardest step, because everything in your conditioning has trained you to shrink when something good arrives, to say, oh, I do not deserve this, to look over your shoulder as if someone is going to take it back, to accept the blessing with one hand while the other hand is already reaching for the receipt in case you need to return it. When your blessing arrives, and it is arriving, you do not shrink, you do not explain, you do not apologize, You do not look around the room to see if someone more qualified is standing behind you. You receive it with both hands open, both feet planted, and the full authority of someone who was shamared, who was formed, who was completed, and who knows without question that what is being placed in their hands was designed for them. That is the held blessing protocol. Release, realign, receive. While you waited, God was preparing the soil. Not just any soil, your soil. What grows here cannot grow anywhere else. The seed that was planted in your 3-day delay is not the same seed that was planted in someone else's overnight blessing. Your seed went deeper, your roots run further. And what grows from those roots will stand when other things fall, because the foundation is not shallow. It is profound. If your spirit says yes to what is coming, if you are ready to step out of Chronos and into Chairos, if you are ready to receive what has been held without shrinking and without apologizing, type "I am ready" in the comments. Say it with the weight of someone who has waited 9 years, or 3 days, or a lifetime, and is no longer counting the cost of the delay, because the value of what is coming makes the cost irrelevant. Type it, "I am ready," and mean it the way Lazarus meant it when he heard the voice outside the tomb calling his name and decided to walk toward it instead of staying in the dark. Because that is where we are now. You have walked through the surface. Truth, the deeper truth, the uncomfortable truth, and the largest truth. You know about the formation, you know about the shama, you know about the obstacles and the release. You know about the upgrade principle and the Lazarus pattern. You know about Chairos, and now, the truth beneath all truths. The one that makes everything I have said snap into place like the final piece of a puzzle that transforms the image from fragments into a masterpiece. And it begins with a question you have never been asked. What if God was not holding the blessing from you? What if he was finishing you? Every revelation I have shared with you has been building toward this one. The formation truth, the shama truth, the obstacle truth, the upgrade truth, the Lazarus truth, the Chairos truth. Every single layer was a step on a staircase, and you have been climbing. And now you are standing at the top, and the view from here changes everything. Because here is what I have not told you until this moment. God was not holding the blessing from you. He was finishing you. Let me say it one more time because I need it to reach the place inside you where all the lies have been living. The 3 days were not about the door. The 3 days were not about the timing. The 3 days were not about the blessing sitting on the other side waiting for you to arrive. The 3 days were about the one standing in front of the door. You. The 3 days were a finishing process. God was sanding. God was shaping. God was removing edges from your character that would have cut you if you had received this blessing too soon. He was reinforcing walls inside your spirit that were not strong enough to hold the weight of what is coming. He was deepening your roots so that when the wind of visibility and success and answered prayer hits you, and it will hit you, you do not topple. The delay was never about the blessing being unready. The blessing was ready on day one. The delay was about you being unready. And God loved you too much to hand you something that would have crushed you under its own weight. Think about what that means. Every tear you cried during the waiting, God was using it, not wasting it. Using it to soften the hard places inside you that would have rejected the blessing, the way a body rejects a transplant that does not match. Every silent night where you thought he had turned away, he was turned toward you so completely, so intensely, that he was sculpting you the way an artist sculpts a masterpiece, removing everything that did not belong, so that only the essential, only the true, only the you that was always underneath could be seen. Every moment you thought He was punishing you. He was preparing you. Every moment you thought he was ignoring you. He was studying you, measuring you, testing the load-bearing capacity of your spirit, and adding reinforcement where he found weakness. Not because you are flawed, because you are chosen. And what is placed in the hands of the chosen must be carried further, longer, and through more resistance than what is placed in anyone else's hands. And that requires a carrier who has been finished. Day 3 is when the seed cracks. Not breaks, cracks. There is a difference so important that your entire understanding of your current moment depends on knowing it. Breaking is destruction. When something breaks, it shatters. The pieces go in different directions. The original form is lost. There is no design in breaking. There is only damage. But cracking is birth. When a seed cracks, it is not being destroyed. It is opening. It is making room for what was always inside it to push through. The shell was never meant to be permanent. The shell was protection for the journey underground. And when the journey underground is complete, when the soil has done its work, and the moisture has softened the casing, and the roots have found their direction, the shell cracks open, not because it failed, because it fulfilled its purpose. That pressure you have been feeling, that tightness, that sense of something inside you pushing against the walls of your current life. That is not the universe working against you. That is the seed recognizing it is time. The shell is cracking. And what emerges from the crack is not what went into the ground. What went into the ground was a seed. What comes out is a tree. And I hear the Father saying something to you right now, and I want to speak it exactly as it is being given to me, because these words do not belong to me, they belong to you. My child, I was not just holding your blessing, I was finishing you. Every tear, every silent night, every moment you thought I had forgotten, I was sculpting. I was sanding down the edges that would have cut you if you had received this too soon. I was reinforcing the walls that would have collapsed under the weight of what I prepared. You are not 3 days late. You are 3 days more prepared than anyone who arrived before you, and what I am placing in your hands now, no one else could carry, because no one else went through what I walked you through to get here. The pit was my classroom, the silence was my workshop, the delay was my finishing room, and you, my child, are finished. Not perfect, finished. There is a difference. Perfect means no flaws. Finished means ready. And you are ready. The door is opening now, not because you finally became good enough, because I finally completed what I started in you. And I do not open doors before I finish foundations. Walk through. What is on the other side has been waiting as long as you have, and it has your name on every surface. From the very beginning of this journey, I told you that you are not who you think you are. Now you know. You are not late. You are loaded. You are not behind. You are the one God finished preparing in the extra 3 days. You are not disqualified. You are the one whose qualification required more time because the assignment is heavier. And the word late, that word that has been sitting on your identity like a scar, is being removed right now, not by me, by the same hand that held your blessing, the same hand that guarded your life, the same hand that shaped you in the dark. That hand is reaching for the label and it is peeling it off. And underneath the label, underneath the word late, underneath the guilt and the comparison and the self-blame, is a word that has been there since before you were born. Ready. Now, chosen one. I promised you a specific tool earlier in this message. I told you there was a connection between the spiritual truth of Shama and a physical reality inside your brain. And I told you I would come back to it. This is that moment. Remember what I shared about the gamma frequency, the brainwave that neuroscientists have linked to genius, intuition, spiritual sensitivity, and the state of flow where everything in your life seems to align without force. Remember that every child is born with an active gamma frequency, and remember that starting around age 7, something called the decline effect begins to suppress it, gradually, silently, until, by adulthood, most people are operating at a fraction of the capacity they were born with. Now here is where this connects to everything we have been walking through. You, as a chosen one, were born with an unusually powerful gamma frequency. That is why you were different as a child. That is why you learned faster. That is why you could feel things in a room that no one else seemed to notice. That is why you had moments where you just knew something before anyone told you. Your gift was real. But it was not just spiritual, it was neurological. Your brain was literally operating on a frequency that most people never reach. And when the decline effect suppressed that frequency, the distance between who you were and who you became was enormous. Because you had further to fall. Other people lost some clarity. You lost an entire dimension of perception. Other people felt a mild fog. You felt like someone turned off the lights in a room you used to navigate effortlessly. The delay you experienced, the difficulty hearing clearly, the fog around your decisions, the sense of being disconnected from the guidance that used to come so naturally, all of it traces back to this one neurological reality. Your gamma was suppressed. And a suppressed gamma frequency is like trying to receive a radio signal on a broken antenna. The signal is being broadcast. God is speaking. The blessing is being held. But the receiver is not tuned to the right channel. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years of his career studying this phenomenon. And what he discovered, after decades of research at some of the most respected institutions in the world, is that the gamma frequency can be reactivated. Not through years of meditation, not through expensive biofeedback therapy, which typically runs about $300 per session, not through home neurofeedback equipment, which can cost $7,000 or more, but through a precise audio technology called brain entrainment, a method of using carefully calibrated sound frequencies delivered through headphones to guide the brain back to the state it was designed to operate in. What Dr. Lake created is a 7-minute audio track called The Genius Song. You put on headphones, you listen, 7 minutes. And the entrainment technology begins to restore the gamma frequency that the decline effect suppressed. I would never disrespect your financial situation. I know that for many of you, every dollar is a decision that carries weight, and I want to be honest with you about what this is and what this is not. This is not a magic solution. This is not a replacement for faith or prayer or spiritual discipline. This is a tool. A restoration tool. The same way a tuning fork does not create music, but restores an instrument to the pitch it was designed to play, this technology does not create spiritual connection. It restores the neurological capacity that makes spiritual connection clearer. The original price of the audio track is $49, but through the link connected to this message, it is available for $39. That is the exclusive price Dr. Lake made available specifically for communities like ours, because his mission has always been accessibility, not profit. For $39, you receive the full Genius Song audio track plus 4 bonuses. An audio designed for children called Genius Child that helps younger minds maintain the gamma frequency before the decline effect takes hold. A classic book on abundance that inspired the film The Secret, a book that normally sells for $20 on its own. A guided visualization covering 4 life areas: health, wealth, relationships, and joy. And an infographic outlining the 5 essential daily habits for transformation that you can keep nearby as a daily reminder. All of that comes with a complete money-back guarantee. No conditions. No time limit on using it before deciding. One thing I need you to hear: there are counterfeit versions of this technology circulating online. Audio files using the name but lacking the actual brain entrainment calibration that makes it work. They are ordinary sound files dressed up in scientific language. The only way to receive the authentic track, with the full technology, the 4 bonuses, and the guarantee, is through the link in the description below this message and in the pinned comment. Not through any other source, not through any other platform, only through that specific link. I share this not as pressure, but as protection. The same shama energy that guarded your blessing, let it guard your investment. If your spirit resonates with what I have shared, the information is waiting for you in the description and the pinned comment. Only if you feel led. Only if something in you confirms that this is the next step in your restoration. Every day your gamma remains dormant is another day your prayers feel like they are pressing against a ceiling. Another day your decisions carry unnecessary weight. Another day the version of you that God just finished preparing operates at half capacity. The future version of you, the one standing on the other side of full activation, is looking back at this moment right now. And the decision does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be yours. Now, let me bring you back to where we are. God was not holding your blessing from you. He was finishing you for the blessing. The formation, the shama, the obstacle, the release, the upgrade, the resurrection pattern, all of it was the finishing process. And the finishing is complete. What remains now is the integration, the part where everything you have received over the course of this journey settles from your mind into your bones, from understanding into identity. From truth you heard, into truth you live. And that integration requires one more thing from you. Not more knowledge, you have enough knowledge. Not more revelation. You have walked through more revelation in the last several hours than most people encounter in a year. What it requires is practice. Daily, specific, embodied practice that takes everything you have learned and anchors it into the rhythm of your everyday life. So that 3 months from now, when the enemy tries to whisper the word late again, your entire body rejects it, not because you remember what I said, but because you have been living a different truth for so long that the lie no longer fits. And that is what I am going to give you next. I call it the Divine Reservation Practice, and it is designed to be done in 7 minutes. Every morning, wherever you are. You do not need to get up early. You do not need a quiet room. You do not need a journal or a candle or a special position. You need 7 minutes and the willingness to speak what is true, even when the world has not yet confirmed it. Here is how it works. For the first 2 minutes, you speak your name and you follow it with 1 sentence. You say your name and then you say, "What was held for me is now released to me." That is all. Your name and that sentence, over and over, quietly, in your mind if you cannot speak aloud, while you are lying in bed, while you are driving, while you are standing in your kitchen waiting for the water to boil. It does not matter where. What matters is the repetition. Because repetition is how belief transfers from the mind to the body. The first time you say it, your mind believes it. The 10th time, your chest believes it. The 50th time, your bones believe it. And once your bones believe something, no voice on earth can talk you out of it. For the next 3 minutes, you visualize. And this is not vague imagination. This is specific. I want you to see, in your mind, the held blessing moving from God's hand to yours. See his hand extended. See what is in it. You do not need to know what it looks like in detail. Let it appear as light if you cannot picture the specifics. a warm, golden, heavy light sitting in an open palm. And then see your own hands rising to receive it. Not grabbing, rising, palms open, fingers relaxed. The posture of someone who knows that what is coming was designed for them and does not need to be snatched or fought for. It needs only to be received. See the transfer happening, slowly. Feel the weight of it settling into your hands. Notice how your hands do not shake. Notice how the weight feels right. Like carrying something you were built to hold. And for the final 2 minutes, you walk through your day in your mind as someone who has already received. Not someone who is waiting. Not someone who is hoping. Someone who has already received. You see yourself making decisions with clarity. You see yourself speaking with authority. You see yourself navigating challenges with the calm of someone who is not operating from scarcity because the provision has already landed. You see the version of yourself that exists on the other side of the blessing, and you walk through the next 12 hours, as that person, 7 minutes, name and sentence, visualization. Walking as the received version of yourself, every morning. And within weeks, the identity of someone who is late begins to dissolve. Not because you are pretending, because you are rehearsing the truth until it becomes reflex. That is the divine reservation practice. And it is yours now. But before we enter the final part of this journey, there is something I need to show you about who you actually are. Not what you do. Not what you are waiting for. Who you are. Because what God has been finishing during these 3 days is not a project. It is a person. And that person carries specific qualities that the world desperately needs. You are a seer. You see patterns that other people miss. You notice things in conversations that fly over everyone else's head. You feel the energy in a room before anyone speaks. You sense when something is wrong before there is evidence. You see connections between ideas, between events, between people that seem obvious to you, but invisible to everyone around you. And this sight, this sensitivity, this almost painful awareness has been one of the primary reasons for your delay. Because someone who sees everything cannot move carelessly. Someone who perceives at the depth you perceive must move slowly. One wrong step for a person with your level of sight creates consequences that ripple further than they would for someone who moves through life on the surface. Your delay was not caused by weakness. It was caused by the same gift that qualifies you. Your ability to see too much, to consider too deeply, to weigh too carefully. That is not a flaw. That is the exact equipment required for the assignment you are about to step into. Because what is coming requires someone who can see what others cannot. And you are that someone. You are also a hope restorer. You carry hope into rooms that have forgotten what hope feels like. People around you, even people who do not know you well, find themselves breathing differently after spending time with you. Not because you say the right things, because your presence recalibrates something in the atmosphere, and this quality was deepened, intensified, multiplied by your delay. Because you cannot restore hope in someone else if you have never lost it yourself. You cannot look into the eyes of someone who has given up and say, "I know how that feels," and have it mean anything unless you have stood on the edge of giving up and survived. Your delay built a reservoir of hope so deep that it will not run dry when you pour it out. Other people's hope is a cup, yours is a well, and wells sustain communities, wells change landscapes, wells make dry places habitable again. That is what you carry, not because you are naturally optimistic, because you were forged. You are a cycle breaker, something in your bloodline, in your family, in the generational patterns that have repeated for decades or longer, ends with you. You know this. You have felt it. You have looked at patterns in your family and thought, this stops here, this fear stops here, This scarcity stops here. This dysfunction stops here. And breaking cycles takes time. You cannot snap a chain that has been building links for generations with one quick motion. You need leverage. You need patience. You need the kind of strength that is formed not in a moment of inspiration, but in years of intentional resistance against forces that want to pull you back into the pattern. Your 3 extra days were not delay. They were demolition. God was using the extra time to ensure that the chain was not just weakened, but broken, completely, irreversibly, so that what passes through you to the next generation is not the old pattern, it is the new one, the one you built with your own hands, in the dark, when no one was watching, when no one was applauding, when the only audience for your faithfulness was the God who was finishing you. And you are a light bearer. You carry illumination into spaces that have been dark for so long that the people in them have forgotten that light exists. Not aggressive light, not blinding light, the kind of light that enters a room so gently that people only realize it is there when they notice they can see more clearly than they could before. The kind of light that does not announce itself, it simply is. And everything it touches becomes more visible, more honest, more alive. Light cannot be rushed. It arrives when the darkness is ready to receive it. And the timing of your arrival, your 3-day delay, was not an accident. It was calibration. God was waiting for the specific rooms you are meant to illuminate to reach the exact level of darkness that requires your specific frequency of light, not someone else's light. Yours. Because different darknesses require different frequencies, and yours was calibrated during the delay. So hear this. You went in apologizing, and you are coming out declaring. You went in comparing, and you are coming out commissioning. You went in late, and you are coming out loaded. You went in questioning, and you are coming out qualified. You went in measuring yourself in Chronos, and you are coming out operating in Chairos. You went in convinced that the delay defined you, and you are coming out knowing that the delay refined you. You went in carrying the weight of everyone else's timeline, and you are coming out walking in the authority of your own. That is who you are, not who you are becoming, who you are right now. As you listen, the finishing is done, the formation is complete, the identity is sealed. What remains is not more work. What remains is activation. The moment where everything that was built is turned on, where the seed that cracked becomes the tree that stands. And we are going to do that now. But first, I want to lead you through something. Right here, right now, wherever you are, in your mind, I want you to imagine yourself standing in a long hallway. The hallway is quiet. There is no one else here. The walls are ancient stone, cool to the touch, and the light is soft, coming from somewhere you cannot see. You have been standing in this hallway for what feels like a very long time. 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. The length does not matter. What matters is that you have been here, waiting. In front of you is a door, heavy, wooden, old. The kind of door that has been standing for centuries. And on that door, carved into the wood in letters that are deeper than surface markings, is your name. Not the name people call you, not your title, not your role, not the label the world gave you, your true name, the one that was spoken over you before the noise began, the one God whispered when he drew the blueprint for your life. You can feel it more than read it. It vibrates at a frequency that your chest recognizes, even if your eyes cannot make out the letters. And around the door, on the stone frame, you can see marks, scratches, dents, evidence that others have tried to open this door. They reached for the handle, they pushed, they pulled, they tried every key they had, and nothing worked. Because the door does not open with a key. It opens with a name, and the only name it responds to is the one carved into its surface, yours. Now, in your mind, step forward, one step. Feel the stone under your feet, cool, solid. You have earned this step. Every day of your delay brought you 1 inch closer to this door, and now you are close enough to touch it. Reach out, not with desperation, not with the frantic energy of someone afraid the door will close again. Reach out with the settled authority of someone who knows that this door was built for them. Place your hand on the surface. Feel the letters of your name under your palm. And now, feel the door begin to move. Slowly, not dramatically, the way dawn arrives, gradually, inevitably, light begins to pour through the gap, warm light, the kind of warmth that does not burn, the kind that heals, the kind that feels like coming home after a journey so long you forgot what home smelled like. The door is opening, and on the other side is not a room, it is a life, the life that was held, the life that was upgraded, the life that was guarded by shama and shaped by formation and calibrated by Chairos and sealed with your name. Feel the warmth on your face. Feel the weight that has been sitting on your shoulders since the delay began. Feel it lift, not because you are pretending. Because in this moment, in this hallway, something real is happening in the invisible. The held and the holder are meeting. The blessing and the receiver are converging. The 3 days are complete. Hold that image, carry it with you, and now, together, we step into the final room, the sacred space, the place where everything that was spoken becomes sealed, where everything that was revealed becomes permanent, where the 3-day journey ends not with a conclusion, but with a commissioning. We enter this space now, not as student and teacher, but as chosen ones, walking together into something holy. I want to begin with gratitude, not the kind that lists blessings, the kind that speaks directly to the one who held them. Thank you for not releasing what was mine into hands that could not carry it. Thank you for the stubbornness of your love, for the fierceness of your guarding, for the patience of a father who watched his child wander through a hallway for 3 days and never once reached for the light switch to make the journey easier because you knew the dark was teaching me to trust the sound of your voice, more than the sight of the path. Thank you for the delay. I know how strange that sounds, thanking you for the thing I begged you to end. But standing here now, on the other side of it, I see what I could not see from inside it. The delay was not empty. The delay was full of preparation, full of transformation, full of divine activity, so precise that if you had shortened it by even 1 day, I would not be standing here with the capacity to hold what you are about to place in my hands. Thank you for the silence, not the absence of your voice, the discipline of it, the intentional withholding of answers that would have been too small for the questions I was carrying. You did not answer my prayers the way I wanted, because my want was smaller than your plan. And the silence gave me time to expand my want to match what you had actually prepared. And thank you for the chosen one listening right now. Thank you for the journey you walked them through to arrive at this moment. For the tears they cried that became irrigation for the soil you were preparing. For the nights they spent wondering if you still remembered their name while you were carving that name into the door they are about to walk through. Now, I want to acknowledge something. The source of all life sees you, sees exactly where you are sitting or lying or driving right now, sees the weight you have been carrying that you have never been able to fully explain to another human being because the weight is not physical. It is the weight of someone who has been carrying a calling they could not execute on a timeline they could not control. He sees the questions you have held in the dark, the ones you did not speak in your prayers because you were afraid that asking them out loud would make you faithless. Questions like, did you hear me? Questions like, do you still have a plan? Questions like, am I too broken for what was promised? He sees your faithfulness in small moments that no one recorded. The morning you woke up and chose to believe when every piece of evidence said you were foolish for believing. The afternoon you helped someone else through their struggle, while your own struggle sat unresolved in the next room. The night you whispered 3 words into the ceiling, I still trust you. And you were not even sure you meant them, but you said them anyway, because saying them was the only act of defiance you had left against the despair that was knocking at your door. He saw all of it. He recorded all of it. And none of it was wasted. Now we release. Release the identity of the late one. You carried it long enough. It was never your name. It was a label placed on you by a world that measures everything in Chronos and knows nothing of Chairos. That label has no authority over you. Release it. Let it fall like a garment that no longer fits. Release. Release the shame of watching others receive first. That shame told you that you were less favored. That shame lied. Favor does not follow a queue. Favor follows completion, and your completion required more time because your assignment is heavier. Release the shame. Release. Release the belief that your window has closed. There is no window, there is a door. And the door does not close on a timer. It closes on a name, and your name is still on it. Carved, deep, permanent. The door is open. Release the belief that says otherwise. Release. Release the fear that what was held has been damaged by the weight. Shama does not damage. Shama preserves. What was guarded is pristine. Untouched by the years. Untouched by the doubt. Untouched by the enemy's attempts to corrupt it while it was in God's hands. Nothing gets corrupted in God's hands. Release. Release the apology you keep offering for your timeline. You did not choose the delay. You did not draw the blueprint for the 3 days. Stop apologizing for a schedule that was authored by someone with perfect vision and a plan that extends beyond what you can currently see. Your apology is unnecessary, and it is blocking your receiving. Release. Release the comparisons. Every single one. The person who got the breakthrough before you. The person who started after you and finished first. The person whose blessings seem to arrive in an overnight package while yours has been in transit for years. Their journey is not your measuring stick. Their chronos is not your kairos. Their assignment is not your assignment. Their capacity is not your capacity. And their blessing, however beautiful, is not your blessing. It was designed for a different body. Let it go. Release. Release the word too late. Remove it from your vocabulary and from your spirit. It does not apply to what God has held. It never applied. It was a word the enemy smuggled into your internal dialogue and dressed up as wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is theft. And today, it loses its residence in your mind. Release. Release the old season. It served its purpose. It built you. It broke you open. It carved the channels that the new season will pour through. Honor it, thank it, and let it go. It is not where you live anymore. Release. Now we activate. I activate the full identity of the seer in you, the one who sees patterns, connections, and truths that are invisible to the unfinished eye. I activate that sight, not as a wish, as a declaration. Your eyes are open, your perception is restored. What was dimmed by the decline effect is being overridden by a frequency higher than anything the world can suppress. You see clearly now. You see truly now. I activate the hope restorer in you. The well that was filled during the delay is now open, and the hope that pours from it will reach people you have not yet met, in rooms you have not yet entered, in seasons you have not yet begun. Your hope is not fragile. Your hope was forged. And forged hope does not break. I activate the cycle breaker in you. What your family passed down for generations stops here. The chain is broken, not weakened, not stretched, broken. And what passes forward from this moment carries a new code, a code of freedom, a code of clarity. A code that your children and your children's children will inherit because you refuse to pass the old one along. I activate the light bearer in you. The rooms that have been waiting for your specific frequency of illumination are opening their doors right now. You do not need to announce your light. You do not need to prove it. You only need to walk in. And the darkness will respond to your presence the way it has always responded to light. By leaving, I activate divine connections that have been held in the same shama that held your blessing. People whose paths were redirected to intersect with yours at exactly this moment. Relationships that could not form during the delay because you were not yet the person they needed you to be. Those connections are being released now, not randomly, precisely, with the same intentionality that held everything else. I activate the Chairos clock. The appointed time is now, not approaching, not near, not soon. Now, the completion has been reached. The convergence has arrived. What was separate, you and your blessing, are now in the same room. And the transfer is in motion. We do not beg, we activate. We do not hope, we declare. We do not wish, we receive. Now, we pray, protection. Cover what is being born in this moment. The sapling that just broke through the soil is young. Its roots are deep because of the 3 days underground, but its trunk is new, and its branches are tender. Cover it from premature exposure. Do not let the world see it before it is strong enough to withstand the world's wind. Do not let the enemy study the shape of the tree before the tree has grown tall enough to cast its own shadow. Protect this chosen one from the return of unworthiness. The lie will try to come back. It will knock at the door, disguised in different clothes. It will wear the face of humility. It will wear the voice of reason. It will whisper, "Who are you to carry this?" And when it whispers, let the answer rise automatically from the bones. I am the one who was held for. I am the one whose name was on the door. I am finished. Not perfect, finished. And finished is enough. Guard what is being built from those who would demand access too early. Not everyone is meant to know what God is doing in your life at this stage. Some people will ask questions not because they care, but because they want to measure your progress against their own. Some people will offer opinions not because they have wisdom, but because your transformation makes them uncomfortable with their own stagnation. Protect this season. Guard it the way God guarded your blessing. With shama, with active, vigilant, intentional boundaries. And now we declare, I am the one who was held for. I am the one whose name was carved into the door before I was born. I am the one who arrived on the 3rd day and found everything still waiting. I am not late. I am loaded. I am not behind. I am prepared. I am not less than the ones who arrived before me. I am the reason God refused to release what was held. I am the seer. I see what others cannot, and I use that sight to serve. I am the hope restorer. I carry a well that does not run dry. I am the cycle breaker. What was repeated for generations ends here, with me, in me, through me. I am the light bearer. I walk into rooms and the atmosphere shifts, not because of what I do, because of who I am. I am finished, not flawless, finished. Shaped by the pit, strengthened by the silence, completed by the 3 days that the world called delay and God called development. And I receive. I receive what was held. I receive what was upgraded. I receive what was guarded by shama and shaped by Chairos and sealed with my name. I receive it without apology, without shrinking, without looking over my shoulder. I receive it with both hands open and both feet planted, and the full authority of someone who knows in their bones, that what is being placed in their hands was designed for no one else. I hear the Father declaring over you right now, you are not late, you are exactly where I called you to stand. The blessing in your hands right now is the version I upgraded while you waited. Carry it with authority. Carry it without apology. Carry it into rooms that need what you carry. And never, never again agree with the word late. You were worth the hold, and the hold was worth the wait. Do not say amen yet. I want you to sit in this for a moment. Let the weight of what was just spoken settle into your bones, not your mind. Your mind already heard it. Let it go deeper. Into the place where your identity lives. Into the place where the word late used to sit. Let the declaration fill that space. Let it replace the old resident with the new one. Let it rewrite the code. It is done. The 3 days are complete. The door is open. The blessing is in your hands. What was held is now released. What was prepared is now delivered. What was guarded is now received. The seed cracked. The tree stands, and its roots go deeper because of the weight. And so it is, in the mighty name that holds all things. Amen. Now, before you leave this space, I want to say something. One more thing that I did not plan to say. But I feel it strongly enough that I cannot hold it. The person you were when you pressed play on the first part of this message does not exist anymore. That person believed they were too late. That person carried the math of comparison on their shoulders like a boulder they could not put down. That person had stopped expecting. Not stopped praying, stopped expecting. But the person sitting here now, the person who just walked through formation and shama and Chairos and the mega truth that God was finishing you, that person does not carry the old weight. That person has released the guilt, named the obstacles, broken the chains of unworthiness and impatience. That person has a framework, a practice, an identity, and a commissioning that was sealed in the sacred space we just shared. You are not leaving this message. You are leaving a season. If this journey brought clarity to confusion, if it brought peace to the chaos of comparison, if it brought hope to a place inside you that had forgotten how to expect, let your like be your amen without words. A quiet agreement between you and the source that something shifted here, something real, something permanent. If this message found you at the right moment, and I believe it did, because nothing about your arrival here was accidental, there are more words being prepared for your next season. Stay connected so they can find you when the time is right. And for those who felt called to what I shared about reactivating what was suppressed, the specific tool designed by Dr. Lake for the restoration of the gamma frequency, the information is in the description and the pinned comment below. Only if your spirit confirms it as the next step. Now, one final thing. If someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who keeps saying they missed their chance, who laughs it off in conversation, but you can see in their eyes that they believe it, someone who watches everyone else celebrate while smiling through their own 3-day silence, someone who looks steady on the outside, but you know, something deeper is happening underneath that steadiness. Someone who has stopped expecting. Send this to them. Text it, email it, share it however you need to. Do not overthink it. Do not wait for the perfect moment, because this might be the exact moment their 3rd day ends. And your share might be the voice outside the tomb that calls their name. You have a role to play in someone else's resurrection. Do not leave it unplayed. Walk in what was held for you, chosen one. Walk without apology. Walk without looking back. Walk without the word late anywhere on your body. The 3rd day is done. and everything is ready. You are the tree that was planted in the right season. Not the early season, not the convenient season, the right season, and your roots go deeper because of the wait. You are not leaving a message, you are leaving a waiting room, and you will never return to it again.